Have you ever felt that the world around you is just a thin veil hiding something far more profound? That perhaps we're all locked into a reality we only partially understand? Now imagine stumbling upon a hidden text, one so radical that it was banned by religious authorities for centuries. This is the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, a mysterious piece of writing that questions the very fabric of spiritual belief. It's said to hold secrets that could reshape how we see sin, salvation, and the material world itself. Far from being just another apocryphal story, this lost gospel might show us a path to break free from the illusions that keep us trapped. But what exactly does it teach, and why has it remained in the shadows for so long? Let's find out. Historians point to the late 19th century as a turning point when, during an excavation in Egypt, fragments of an obscure text came to light. Initially overlooked, these scraps of papyrus were later identified as parts of the so-called Gospel of Mary Magdalene. Imagine the excitement among scholars, a potential glimpse into early Christian thought that could upend established narratives. But it wasn't just experts who grew intrigued. Whispers began to spread that these pages might reveal answers to questions the Church had long suppressed. Who was Mary Magdalene really? And why did the early Christian leaders try so desperately to destroy or hide any record of her significance? Rumors of her true role and the power this gospel might unleash only fueled curiosity. That spark of intrigue turned into a blazing fire when more fragments turned up in private collections and libraries around the world. Suddenly, people began piecing together the puzzle, discovering chapters that hinted at a cosmic vision that could transcend ordinary religious dogmas. Yet with every new clue, fresh speculation arose. Some saw it as a spiritual guide to freedom, others viewed it as a heretical threat. But that was only the beginning. Once the Church caught wind of these dangerous ideas, it reportedly wasted no time in discrediting and suppressing them. Traditional Christianity had established its bedrock doctrines centuries earlier, often through councils that decided which texts were official. The Gospel of Mary Magdalene didn't make the cut. Why? Because its pages essentially challenged the power dynamics of the early Church. Mary Magdalene was not just a loyal follower. Some sections suggest she understood Jesus on a deeper level than the other disciples. In a religious system that cemented male hierarchy, the notion of a woman holding sacred knowledge was scandalous enough. But the text went further, proposing that the path to salvation doesn't hinge on a rigid institution. Instead, it encouraged believers to look within for truth, a direct affront to the Church's authority. Naturally, such radical concepts sparked an uproar. Accusations surfaced, labeling it heresy. Spiritual leaders of the time recognized how dangerous this could be to their structure, as it minimized the need for priests, confessions, and a system that kept believers dependent. By casting Mary Magdalene as a spiritual beacon rather than a sideline character, this gospel threatened to shift the balance of power. None of this sat well with an institution trying to maintain unity and influence. So the solution seemed simple: label the text as false, heretical, or dangerous. Burn copies if possible, and keep the faithful unaware. For centuries, that strategy succeeded. But the text refused to vanish completely, and now it's back, challenging us to reconsider everything we've been told about sin, salvation, and the nature of reality itself. Crack open this banned gospel, and you'll find a message that rattles the traditional concept of sin. According to Mary's account, sin isn't an inherent stain on our souls that only religious institutions can cleanse. Instead, it's often portrayed as ignorance, an absence of true knowledge. In other words, people suffer not because they're doomed from birth, but because they're cut off from understanding their divine origin. This teaching overturns a crucial pillar of the early Church: the idea that sin is universal and something only formal sacraments can wash away. Imagine the impact that revelation would have. Suddenly, priests aren't gatekeepers of salvation. The individual can seek enlightenment through introspection, wisdom, and direct spiritual connection. Then there's Mary's role. The Gospel depicts her as a confidant to Jesus, someone he trusts with deeper mysteries. She becomes a teacher, leading others when Jesus is gone. One passage even shows Peter doubting her legitimacy, only to be corrected by another disciple. This flips the patriarchal worldview on its head, giving a woman a central role at the dawn of Christianity. And that's not all. The text also delves into our relationship with the physical world, suggesting it's more flexible and illusory than we might think. If you've ever felt like there's more to existence than paying bills and worrying about day-to-day drama, this gospel might validate that intuition. It claims that once you grasp the hidden knowledge, you can rise above the distractions of the physical plane, reuniting with a greater cosmic source. But here's where it gets even more fascinating. While these ideas might seem purely spiritual, certain modern scientific perspectives echo the same possibility, that the material world is not as solid or permanent as we imagine. Quantum mechanics, for instance, reveals a realm of probabilities, entanglement, and wave-particle duality. Particles can be in two places at once, and their behavior can change simply because we observe them. Renowned physicists like Max Planck and Erwin Schrödinger made statements suggesting that consciousness is far more integral to reality than previously thought. Schrödinger even posited that consciousness might be singular, with individual minds being mere facets of a greater whole. This resonates with the notion found in Mary Magdalene's text that all things emanate from a unified source and will eventually return to it. If the physical world is indeed fluid and shaped by consciousness, then the Gospel's emphasis on knowledge and self-discovery becomes startlingly relevant. It's as though these ancient texts and cutting-edge science are converging on a similar truth. What we see around us may be more of a shifting tapestry than an absolute reality. Of course, this doesn't mean that quantum physicists are quoting the Gospel of Mary Magdalene in their research papers, but the parallels are there, raising eyebrows and prompting new questions. Could it be that ancient spiritual traditions, once dismissed as myth or heresy, had glimpses of truths that science is only now beginning to explore? Naturally, whenever something so potentially transformative re-emerges, controversy follows. Some suggest that Mary Magdalene may have been far more than a disciple, perhaps even Jesus' wife, though mainstream scholars remain divided on that claim. Others argue that her significance was purposely downplayed to preserve a male-dominated hierarchy. Then there are the conspiracy theories that swirl around any discussion of banned Gospels. Some claim that more undiscovered manuscripts lie in secret Vatican archives, hidden away to shield the faithful from shocking revelations. Rumors run wild about cover-ups and clandestine operations to keep these texts out of public knowledge. While evidence for such claims often remains elusive, the mere suggestion stirs intrigue and suspicion. One thing is clear: the Church has historically exercised caution with any writings that deviate from orthodoxy. So, the existence of a text that portrays Mary Magdalene as a key figure and challenges the concept of sin was more than enough to raise alarm bells. To this day, debate rages among scholars, theologians, and laypeople alike. Is this gospel a genuine record of Jesus' teachings or a later fabrication? Is its message universal, or is it a relic of a particular sect? No single answer satisfies everyone, ensuring the controversies continue. Why does any of this matter right now? We live in an era of spiritual questioning. Many people feel disillusioned with institutions, be they governmental, corporate, or religious. They're hungry for meaning that transcends rigid structures. In that sense, the Gospel of Mary Magdalene's focus on personal enlightenment over external authority strikes a chord. It tells us we're not powerless mortals awaiting salvation from above. We're active participants in our own spiritual journey. That's a game changer in a society weighed down by anxiety, consumerism, and endless information overload. The notion that you could break free from the illusions of the daily grind by seeking inner truth is profoundly appealing. It resonates with meditation movements, holistic health trends, and even certain corners of psychological research that emphasize mindfulness and self-awareness. Critics, of course, caution against cherry-picking ancient texts to fit modern agendas. They warn that reinterpretation might distort the original context. Nonetheless, the message endures. If the material world is transient, and if we hold the key to understanding deeper truths within ourselves, then we have more power than we realize. This is not about demolishing old beliefs, but expanding our perspective, and possibly merging the spiritual with the rational in a way that fosters real personal growth. Before we unravel our final thoughts, I want to remind you of something crucial. If ideas like these resonate with you, don't keep them to yourself. Click the like button, make sure you're subscribed, and if you're feeling extra generous, consider giving a super thanks to show your support. When you do that, you're not just helping this channel, you're joining a community of seekers eager to explore hidden knowledge, question the status quo, and foster a more awakened understanding of life. It's amazing how quickly these revelations spread when people share them with friends, family, and online communities. Together we can spark conversations that challenge conventional wisdom and elevate collective consciousness. Whether you lean toward spirituality, science, or a blend of both, your input matters. So drop a comment below, share your insights, and let us know if you believe this banned text has something crucial to offer. But that's not the end of the journey. The Gospel of Mary Magdalene stands as a potent reminder that reality may be deeper and more malleable than we suspect. Its banned status tells a story of power struggles, hidden knowledge, and a vision that frightened authorities into erasure attempts. Yet here we are, centuries later, reclaiming fragments that hint at an ancient wisdom about our place in the cosmos. This lost text does more than challenge the standard narrative of sin. It urges us to move beyond externally enforced beliefs and look within ourselves for the answers. Modern science, intriguingly, seems to circle back to similar notions about the illusory nature of matter and the influence of consciousness. Whether these parallels are coincidental or emblematic of a higher truth, they open doors to conversations that can shake us out of complacency. Ultimately, what we do with this knowledge is up to us. Do we cling to familiar structures, or do we dare to explore the depths of our own consciousness, seeking that elusive spark of insight that can free us from limiting beliefs? The choice lies in every individual. Perhaps the real banned secret is not that sin doesn't exist, but that we're far more powerful, creative, and interconnected than we ever dared imagine. Thanks for spending this time with me, and for being part of this quest to uncover the hidden layers of our world. The road to understanding stretches on, and I can't wait to see where it leads us next. Until we meet again, stay curious, stay open-minded, and remember, sometimes the most astounding truths lie in what's been forgotten, dismissed, or outright banned.